The Nazi regime, under the leadership of Adolf Hitler, harbored grand ambitions for Europe. From the moment they rose to power in the early 1930s, the Nazis pursued an agenda of expansion, conquest, and domination that would ultimately plunge the continent into the deadliest conflict in human history. Their vision for Europe was one of totalitarian control, racial purity, and ruthless subjugation of all those deemed inferior. As one delves into the intricacies of the Nazis' plans for Europe, a chilling and tragic narrative unfolds, shedding light on the darkest depths of human depravity and the destructive power of unchecked ambition. At the heart of the Nazi vision for Europe lay the concept of Lebensraum, or living space. This notion, rooted in the twisted beliefs of racial superiority and the supremacy of the Aryan race, drove Hitler and his inner circle to seek territorial expansion eastward. The territories of Eastern Europe, particularly Poland and the Soviet Union, were earmarked for ruthless colonization, with the native populations either enslaved or exterminated to make way for German settlers. The Nazi leadership, intoxicated by extreme nationalism and the delusion of racial purity, saw themselves as the rightful masters of the continent, destined to shape its destiny according to their warped ideologies. While the idea of Lebensraum formed the ideological bedrock of Nazi expansionism, it was the meticulous planning and implementation of their conquests that truly laid bare the extent of their ruthlessness. The invasion of Poland in 1939 marked the beginning of a campaign of terror and subjugation that would come to define the Nazi occupation of Europe. Towns and cities were razed to the ground, populations subjected to forced labor and mass executions, and the infrastructure of entire nations plundered for the benefit of the German war machine. The insatiable appetite of the Nazi war engine knew no bounds, and as their conquests grew, so too did their capacity for unspeakable cruelty. It was not simply the acquisition of territory that drove the Nazi war machine, but the systematic eradication of all those deemed undesirable by their insidious standards. The Holocaust, a dark chapter in human history, stands as a harrowing testament to the extent of Nazi depravity. In pursuit of their goal of racial purity, the Nazis orchestrated the industrialized murder of 6 million Jews, along with countless others deemed unfit to exist within their vision of a new Europe. The death camps, such as Auschwitz and Treblinka, became the harbingers of unspeakable suffering, as innocent lives were callously snuffed out in the name of a twisted ideology. The Nazis' plans for Europe, however, were not solely confined to the physical and human realms. Their ambitions also extended to the reshaping of the continent's cultural and societal fabric. Through the propagation of propaganda, the suppression of dissent, and the imposition of their own warped ethos, the Nazis sought to mold Europe in their image. Art, literature, and academia were all subjected to strict ideological scrutiny, with anything deemed contrary to Nazi doctrine swiftly eradicated. The vibrant tapestry of European culture was threatened with being reduced to a mere instrument of Nazi propaganda, serving to further their insidious objectives. Ultimately, the Nazis' plans for Europe were brought to a halt by the unyielding resistance of the Allied powers and the indomitable spirit of those who refused to bow to the Nazi yoke. The sacrifices of countless individuals, the resilience of nations, and the unwavering determination to confront the forces of tyranny served as the bulwark against the Nazi onslaught. Europe, scarred and ravaged by war, would emerge from the shadow of Nazi occupation as a testament to the enduring human spirit and the triumph of light over darkness. In conclusion, the Nazis' plans for Europe were nothing short of a monstrous vision of subjugation, destruction, and unbridled ambition. Their pursuit of Lebensraum, the abhorrent depths